The moment the security guard gently placed a cardboard box filled with his belongings into his hands, every employee in the lobby stopped pretending not to watch. The single father who had spent 12 years giving everything to the company walked toward the glass doors with quiet dignity, carrying nothing more than family photos, a coffee mug his daughter had painted, and the weight of a future that had suddenly disappeared. No one knew that before he reached the parking lot, he would make one phone call that would shake the entire company. Within hours, the same people who celebrated his dismissal would hear words they never imagined. Fire every one of them. Before we continue this emotional story, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment telling us if you believe kindness always comes back, share this story with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Beyond the Single Dad if you believe good people deserve second chances. Your support helps us bring more heartfelt stories like this one to life. The morning had begun like any other for Rowan Mercer. The sun poured through the kitchen window as he carefully braided his 10-year-old daughter Ivy's hair before school. Their small rented home was modest, but it overflowed with warmth. Every morning Rowan packed her lunch with handwritten notes hidden inside the sandwich bag, reminding her that she was brave, smart, and loved beyond measure. Ever since his wife passed away 5 years earlier after a sudden illness, Rowan had become both father and mother. Every bill he paid, every overtime shift he accepted, and every sacrifice he made had one purpose: giving Ivy a stable childhood despite the storms life had sent their way. Rowan never complained. At work, he arrived before everyone else and often stayed long after sunset. He trained new employees, solved impossible problems, and quietly fixed mistakes made by supervisors without asking for recognition. Many co-workers admired him, but a handful resented how often senior executives praised his reliability. Among them was Darren Holt, a recently promoted operations manager whose confidence depended on making others look smaller. Darren viewed Rowan not as an employee, but as an obstacle standing between himself and greater power. Over several months, Darren slowly built a false narrative. Small accounting errors were blamed on Rowan. Delayed shipments caused by management decisions somehow became Rowan's responsibility. Reports were altered just enough to create doubt. Whenever Rowan defended himself, Darren smiled politely and suggested that stress from raising a child alone might be affecting his judgment. The lies spread quietly because they were wrapped inside official meetings and polished emails. By the time Rowan realized what was happening, the damage had already been done. On that bright Tuesday afternoon, Rowan was called into a conference room without warning. Human Resources sat beside Darren, avoiding eye contact. The meeting lasted less than 15 minutes. They thanked Rowan for his years of service before informing him that his employment was being terminated due to repeated performance concerns and alleged violations of company policy. Rowan felt as though the floor beneath him had disappeared. He asked for examples, hoping some terrible misunderstanding could still be corrected, but every document presented had been carefully prepared long before he entered the room. The decision was final. Walking out of the building under the warm afternoon sun, Rowan forced himself not to cry. He wasn't thinking about himself. His thoughts raced toward rent due next week, Ivy's school tuition, the groceries in the nearly empty refrigerator, and the promise he had made to his daughter that everything would always be okay. He sat alone inside his aging pickup truck, staring at the steering wheel for several silent minutes before reaching into his pocket for his phone. The call he made wasn't to a lawyer or an old co-worker. It was to an elderly man named Vincent Hale, someone almost nobody at the company had ever met. Years earlier, Rowan had quietly helped Vincent after finding him collapsed outside a grocery store during a heavy rainstorm. Instead of leaving him for someone else, Rowan stayed by his side, called an ambulance, visited him during recovery, and never accepted anything in return. He never knew that Vincent happened to be the retired founder and majority shareholder of the company where Rowan worked. Vincent had never forgotten the kindness of a stranger who expected nothing back. As Rowan calmly explained everything that had happened, Vincent listened without interrupting. His normally gentle voice grew heavy with disappointment. Before ending the conversation, Vincent asked only one question. Rowan answered honestly, saying he wanted nothing except the truth to come out because innocent people should never lose their livelihood to dishonest ambition. Several seconds of silence followed before Vincent quietly replied that he would handle the rest. The following morning, executives arrived to find luxury cars filling the parking lot and unfamiliar auditors entering the building with stacks of sealed files. Emergency meetings replaced routine schedules. Computer records were frozen. Financial documents were reviewed. Internal emails dating back several years were recovered. One by one, hidden patterns emerged. Reports had indeed been manipulated. Employee evaluations had been altered. Promotions had been influenced through deception. Expense accounts contained suspicious transactions. What began as an investigation into Rowan's dismissal quickly uncovered a culture of intimidation created by several managers who had protected one another for years. Employees whispered nervously as office doors remained closed throughout the day. Darren attempted to explain every accusation away, but evidence continued appearing faster than excuses. By late afternoon, Vincent himself entered the headquarters for the first time in years. His presence alone silenced every hallway. Standing before the executive board, he made it clear that integrity mattered more than quarterly profits. Looking over the investigation's findings, he delivered the words that would echo through the company for years. Every manager who knowingly participated in the deception, every executive who ignored repeated warnings, and every supervisor who helped bury the truth would be dismissed immediately. The order was simple, direct, and unforgettable. Fire every one of them. Meanwhile, Rowan spent the day attending job interviews, unaware that the company behind him was transforming. He smiled through disappointment because Ivy deserved hope, not fear. That evening, when he picked her up from school, she noticed the sadness hidden behind his tired eyes. Instead of asking difficult questions, she simply slipped her small hand into his and told him she believed everything would work out because he always helped people, even when nobody was watching. Those innocent words reminded Rowan that true success had never been measured by job titles or office doors. It was measured by the kind of person his daughter believed him to be. Just before sunset, Rowan's phone rang again. This time, the company's new interim president invited him back, not merely to return to his previous position, but to help rebuild an organization founded on honesty, fairness, and respect. Rowan accepted only after receiving one promise, that no hard-working employee would ever again lose everything, because someone more powerful chose dishonesty over integrity. As the weeks passed, the workplace slowly changed. Employees who had lived in fear began speaking openly. Young workers found mentors instead of bullies. Families depending on honest paychecks finally felt secure. Rowan's greatest achievement wasn't reclaiming his career. It was proving that quiet integrity could outlast loud deception. His daughter watched proudly as her father came home smiling again, carrying not just groceries, but hope for tomorrow. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a heartfelt comment, share it with someone who needs encouragement today, and subscribe to Beyond the Single Dad for more emotional stories that remind us kindness is never wasted. Special request. Before this story ends, please comment with the words, "Kindness always wins." We'd love to know how many people still believe that honesty and compassion can change lives. Sometimes life takes away the job you thought defined your future, only to reveal that your greatest strength was never your position. It was your character. Rowan lost everything in a single afternoon, but because he chose kindness long before he needed anything in return, that kindness returned when he needed it most. In the end, it wasn't power, money, or revenge that changed his life. It was the simple truth that good people may stumble, but they rarely walk alone forever.